Okay guys, I'm gonna go ahead and hop in. Hey Nikki, I'm not sure if you've spoken about this, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you were before getting married. I want to get married and my boyfriend always asks me, but I always say not right now because I'm afraid. Plus, we've only dated for 2 years, going on 3, and we still have a lot of things to work on. How did you know when it was time for you to get married and if you were ready? I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. Okay, so here's the thing. Society really looks down on young marriage, and kind of for good reason. I mean, there is a lot of divorce rate in young marriages, but there's a lot of divorce rates among everyone. You know what I mean? We've got a 50% divorce rate. I don't really think age has a whole ton to do with it. I think it more has to do with the emotional maturity level, and I think because in our society our parents baby us so much and don't cause us to grow up, that's the reason. Not necessarily because of what you've accomplished in life, but because of emotional maturity and the ability to communicate. Here are the things that I think are important before you get married that you guys need to talk about. Well, basically you need to talk about everything, but that includes you need to make sure you're both on the same page as money. Like, who's going to handle the money? Like, are you guys going to be writing out your budgets together? Is he going to be handling the money? Are you going to be handling the money? Is it a joint account? Is it separate? I think joint is better. Some people operate separately, but I believe that when you're married, you're one. So how you're going to handle your bank accounts? Okay, huge, 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 huge. And many people will say, oh, it's not a big deal. We respect each other's religion. I feel you need to be the same religion, because if you are legitimately planning on spending the rest of your life with someone, the rest of your life, that's a really long time, okay? How are you going to raise your kids? How are you going to discipline your kids? How are you going to get through hardships? And if you are both standing on the same faith, it makes it a lot easier. So like, it's amazing knowing, or it's great knowing that me and Dan, that aside from him, like when we have problems, we're both going back to the same place. We're both looking to the same source for inspiration. We're both looking to God for guidance and strength and forgiveness when we mess up. Like, we're both going back to the same thing that doesn't even have to do with us. He didn't do anything for me. I'm not doing this for him. This is like separate, which is great because ultimately no matter how hard we fight, we always have something to come back and stand on and a reason to come back together. Yeah, raising your children, I already said that. So important. Religion is so important. I already said money. Where do you guys stand politically? Although usually if you're, not usually, well, a lot of the times if you're in the same religious standpoint, you're going to stand politically in kind of the same area. And that sounds dumb, but that's important. I've seen couples fight over like who they're voting for. I've seen couples fight over issues that are on the ballot because you get into things that really, like, a lot of political things can really strike a chord with people. So that's really important to talk about. Know each other's spending habits, you know what you're getting into, you need to know if you're marrying someone who's a heavy gambler and likes to spend a lot of money or whatever, and don't turn a blind eye to it. If you talk over all these things, I don't really think age is an issue, if that makes sense, because clearly marriage is hard at any age, or otherwise we wouldn't have the high divorce rate that we do. Otherwise it would be like, I mean, if it was like 70, 80%, 90% of divorces under 20, or marriages under 24 end in divorce, and everyone over 24, it's like a 10% divorce rate, I'd be like, wait, that's clearly not the case. Like, it's emotional maturity and you need to talk things out. So is it going to be hard financially? Probably. But things get hard financially at a lot of ages. You can work through things together, and ultimately that makes you stronger together. So, you have to decide for yourself. If you feel like you guys have discussed all these things, you feel like you've covered all these bases, that might be a good step to take. Especially, I mean, geez, if your boyfriend is asking you, you're very lucky. A lot of guys would run the other direction. A lot of guys are not looking at getting married, are not like begging their girlfriend, will you marry me, will you marry me? That's amazing. Like, he wants to be with you, and I understand your feeling of fear because usually it's one of the two. Most of the time it's the guy that's more scared to get married and the girl's like, I want to get married, but sometimes it's flip. That was me. Like how you were saying you're in the same boat as me, yes, you really were, because I was scared. And I was like, I have so much I want to do with my life and blah, blah, blah. And Dan was like, well, why are you putting marriage into this little box? Like, where are you thinking that once you're married, you can't do things in life? And I was like, That's true. Like, essentially, we're doing the exact same things we were before, except there's a word on it, marriage, and I'm still pursuing things I want to pursue, and he is too, and we're growing up together, and we're learning things together. Marriage is not one definitive thing. Like, you define your marriage. You make your relationship what you want to make it. Yeah, I mean, we're living at my parents' house, for goodness sake, because we have to right now because of the whole Singapore thing, but, like, we're doing it, and people might be like, oh my god, you're married, but it's like, okay, you know, like, you're putting marriage in a box as to what it should be, and it doesn't have to be any particular thing. You're just committed. So yeah, that was a really long answer. But yeah, send your messages to asknikkip@gmail.com. My sandal is falling off. I think an ant is crawling up my leg. And I'll see you next time. Bye, guys. I don't care if you, oh, I like my time with him. You will like your time with someone else. He's using you. If he doesn't want to be with you after you talk to him, he is using you.